All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. I'm excited today because we've got a flipper. We've been interviewing a lot of multifamily people and they're kind of boring after a while. We like the house flipping stuff. I used to be a flipper. I was never a huge flipper, but I did my share of flipping, and it's a tough business. I like it a lot. I would still flip. I just haven't flipped anything lately. I've been just buying and holding recently. But I think flipping properties is fun. It's fast paced, and we're going to learn about the Rochester, New York market. And I was reading something that's like there's like 0.002% inventory. There's like no inventory on the market there. It's crazy. So please welcome to the show, Marty Grizzanti.
Yo, what's up, Beau?
Nice,
super Italian.
Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
You have a good energy. So, a little bit about Marty. He was like the all-American, high school student. Got into wrestling, loved wrestling and rugby and all the fun sports. Did that throughout college as well. And then I take it you graduated college.
I did. Yes.
And then
I really turned it on at the end there, but I did. Yes.
You finally passed and got good grades. and then you got into the marketing world for a couple years. And then
yes.
What clicked, and when did this click? Was this like 2019, 2018? How long have you been in the real estate business?
Yeah, real estate. 2016, my partner and I, we came together, Matt McGuckin, and we were just two guys that I actually knew him from wrestling, and that's our company name, Suplex Properties. So that real, just two wrestling guys that came up with that name, and we decided to, hey, you're doing well in sales, I'm doing well in sales. We got commission checks. We don't really know what to do with it. We've been blowing them at the bars for the last year and a half. Why not do something constructive with it? And we stumbled into real estate, really, and then the rest has been history. So far, so good.
Yeah. So, from 2016 to today, we've seen huge price appreciation. Let's face it, now the rates are going up now. I just was doing some loans for some people, and I quoted them a 4.75 on one of those investor loan DSCRs. No, this was like 3 weeks ago. Now that same deal is like 5.875.
Oh, wow.
But at the end of the day, there's no inventory, right? And so there's still a huge demand. And so will the market slow a little bit? Probably. But if there's no real estate and there's a demand for inventory as a tenant or as a buyer, you got to think that we're still going to see growth this year. Is that kind of what you guys are seeing?
100%. Yeah, 100%. We're in a weird spot. Rochester is literally, I just looked it up. It's the least amount of inventory in the nation, I think, for the size, right? For the city that we're in. So I don't see a giant drop off. People are still going nuts. It's still 40, 50, 60 over asking on everything. And I feel bad for the buyers, but it's a good time to be selling right now.
So you got into real estate, and then so you partner up with Matt, two wrestlers, so obviously you guys have good work ethic because you're used to the training and going at it, running and dropping weight. And so then you go, okay, we got to learn this real estate business. And you both have a sales background, so you guys are good on the phone and can give. I call it giving good phone, right? You can talk to people.
Yeah.
How do you did you start going to RIAs and start learning about the business? Did you take somebody's Mastermind Group? What really kind of dove you into this real estate business?
Yes, that's a great question. That's exactly part of it was that, right? Going to the RIAs and just seeing that there was action there. So we are sales guys, and we would sell search engine optimization over the phones. And it was guys. Something. We were those guys. Yeah. Exactly. But the difference was we were effing good at it. So we were really good at what we did. And we were like, hey, this is fun and all, but we're getting 18% on this money that's coming on a commission. Why don't we try to figure out how we get 100% of it? So, being like the top, in the top 5 every year, we were like, what are we going to do? We got to do something. Like, this is not enough. Like we're we knew like, cause in being in sales, like you are an entrepreneur, like you rent that office and if you kind of see yourself, especially the top 5 people, top 10 people, you go, man, it's like I know I can do more and I want to do more. And so, going to those RIA events, you saw people, there was a lot of action, they were taking phone calls during the meetings, and there was, a lot of flippers there, wholesalers, and that really attracted us. And then you also at the same time, we also were looking at stuff saying, okay, every month we go back down to zero in sales, right? Every commission check it goes back down to zero again. You got to work your way up. How do we kind of make more passive income? And that's rentals came into play. So we actually kind of did something different. We started with rentals. So we built up a portfolio of like 25 properties, and then we started flipping. And that's helped us out a lot because we kind of started understanding, what are people looking for? We know how to analyze a deal. I think it's really tough, Beau, when people start flipping and then start owning rentals. I think going about it the other way helped us out tremendously. But yeah, just like anything else, it was bigger pockets. It was the RIAs. It was all of that. It was soaking it all in.
So did you keep most of those rentals still, and you just harvesting the equity out and using that equity in new deals? Is that kind of your plan, is to hold those long term?
Yeah, that's our plan. Hold them long term. We definitely did the burst strategy, right? We bought them at, this was 2016, 2017. We bought a lot at like the auctions, and we learned a lot there. Just, getting your face punched by people that were upbidding you just because you're the new guy in town, and maybe buying some stuff you shouldn't have, and buying in some areas that you probably wouldn't do again. But we learned a lot, right? And we were definitely doing like the hard money, borrowing a lot of, borrowing money, buying 2 or 3 at a time, and just kind of just figuring it out as we went, man. But it was, the burst strategy is how we scaled to the 25 in, the 3-4 years.
So in like 2016, I'm not sure about Rochester's market. What were the price points back then you were buying at, and what are they today?
Yeah, so we were buying around like, oh geez, like 65, 70,000. Yeah, single family doubles too for that. I mean, we were able at some auctions to pick stuff up for $20,000. Again, this was kind of like in those C, D, but turning into C. Again, lucky. We just got lucky on a few of these, right? We just didn't know any better. We were stuck with some shit, but we definitely got lucky on a few of them that turned into like, bought for 60 is now we're, at 150 now, some of these things, right? So it's not crazy appreciation, but for Rochester, that's pretty solid. We've never been a crazy appreciation town. We'll never be like the Phoenixes and the Las Vegases, but we're never going to drop off either. We're never going to drop off real hard like some of the other cities that did during the crisis. So yeah, it's definitely one where we don't really know. We've never lived through a crisis. We never lived through the crash. So we've just been in the right place at the right time, and anybody's probably looked good if they bought in 2015, 2016. Who knows how we are.
That's what I always say. I know I don't look it, but I'm 44 and I experienced the crash and it wasn't fun, but I was also a residential mortgage broker at the time, and that business froze, and I had but I was buying for the wrong reason back then. I didn't really understand, oh, you need to buy a property that cash flows, not that's I was speculating. And so it was I saw big major banks going out of business. So it wasn't just me. Right. And it was a tough couple of years. I went through a midlife crisis in my mid to late 20s, but I'm here today and was able to figure out how to buy real estate many times over. So,
well, you look good for 40 something.
Yeah, 44. Yeah.
You're doing great, buddy.
Yeah. I started using lotion on my face, actually. It was my wife. She's like, here, because my wife's a lot younger. See, I waited till I was 42 to get married. Then I married younger.
Perfect.
I knew I was going to see, I was successful in life just for that. So.
That's right.
So, all right. So how are you using your marketing skills to get deals today and over the last couple of years?
Well, you said it in the beginning. You go, I used to be flipping, and then, I think a lot of people, the one thing that stops them from flipping is finding the deals, right? That's where we have that unfair advantage of we're willing to, not that anyone's not willing to do it, but we did very well on phone sales. So that's just comes natural to us. So we're okay with doing the 100 dials a day. We were okay with doing the $300 a day some days, where it's like some people, it's just that they can't do that. We get amped up about it. And so, taking that and just putting it into, all right, so now we know how to pull the right lists. Again, it's a lot of learning, right? But you know how to pull the list. You're willing to get dirty. You're willing to do the stuff that nobody wants to do. And because of that, we're able to find really, really good deals. And that's what's carried us, because not a lot of people want to do that, know how to do that, and are willing to put that work in. So we've just used our past careers of being phone sale guys and just putting it into our own business, and it worked out really well for us.
I mean, are you still doing it now? Or are you doing less of that now? Because I mean, I'm just curious. I know that's what you had to do in the beginning. Now you're kind of spread thin. So what systems do you put in place today? Let's talk about, any tools you like in the space of lead generation, any like list builders, any CRMs? I saw you had a Carrot website, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great question.
I
Great
had Trevor
question.
on Trevor Mock on my podcast yesterday.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a G. He's a
Yeah,
G.
yeah. It's just you got to work those websites, but if you actually do it, you get leads from there sometimes too. So that's good.
Great leads. AdWords is website SEO. AdWords are probably some of the best leads. They're the most expensive, but in my opinion, are the best. Yeah, after we, started doing that, and we still get on the phones though. But yes, we have a team of virtual assistants that we've trained up really hard. So we have about 6 that call for us. We have a team, and we use Mojo or Call Tools now. So Call Tools is a great call platform. We also use Mojo. So
Hmm.
we also call mobile home parks. My partner and Matt and I, we also buy mobile home parks here in New York and Pennsylvania. And from that, though, we also use lists. We pull from PropStream for your single family double, the multifamily. We also use texting. I always thought that for anyone listening that is doing like commercial stuff or bigger stuff, you think that these people wouldn't respond to a text. Those are some of our best leads come from text messaging. We just got a 88 unit, 88 pad mobile home park under contract through a text message. So text messaging has been really good for us. And then our CRM, we use Podio. That follow up, it changed our career. It changed our path of like just being knuckleheads, churning and burning, and now we have a follow up path that's been really, really good.
That's good. That's really good advice. So it seems like, hey, there's great tools, and the tools are evolving, but really at the end of the day, you're still putting the work in. You're still doing the reps at the gym, right? You're still doing the push-ups, and that's the key. I mean, nothing's going to magically happen. You got to stack your list, and then you just got to make your texts and call. The cool thing now is you can put them in a system and text a lot of people at once if you want to, and all that stuff. That's cool. So right now, most of your holdings are in the Rochester, New York area. You're starting to expand out throughout New York. Then you realize you're in my state, Pennsylvania. I'm actually just closed on a duplex there, and I closed on a fourplex there end of the week here. I just all of a sudden
Congrats.
I said I was in Indiana buying from Vegas. I like the cheaper price points with the higher rents. And then I said, what about Pennsylvania? Because I used to live in Pennsylvania as a child. I lived in Allentown.
Nice.
I like Pennsylvania. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. You got to get used to it because they have like the boroughs, and you have to like their code enforcement goes through your house. I just got the first punch list of all the stuff I have to do on my rental property. I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. And you can't. And I was like, can I at least have the code guy go in before I close escrow, right? Because like that would make more sense. Then I know at least what I have to do. And like, no, you got to wait till you close. I'm like, oh God. So I just can basically look at an inspection so I got to build systems around that because that's going to be kind of
Sure.
a challenging thing. But I like the PA market. I never bought anything in New York, but
Don't.
don't. Yeah, I
No,
know.
because you're talking about the C of O stuff. Yeah, that's what we deal with all the time. I mean, the city's on us. The minute you buy something, they're ready to go right in and make sure everything's inspected properly. And it's good and bad. I mean, it's good for the fact that the properties are going to be in probably decent shape and the city cares, but at the same time, it's super tough, and especially when you're scaling and at the same time with the unfriendly landlord laws are just insane. I mean, it takes me 6 months, 7 months to evict somebody. So, it's not ideal, but at the same time, a lot of people are not willing to go into New York. So they're not, there leaves a lot of opportunity for, the people who do live in the area. And so, but you take that with the problems that come with it.
I was born in Middletown, New York. Is that close to Rochester? I got to look at a map, but probably not. Middletown somewhere, Middletown, New York. I know there's a Middletown, Pennsylvania too, but I was born in Middletown, New York.
Where's like the nearest city?
I, I don't know. I'm going to Google it after this, but I missed the East Coast. You know why?
What?
Because the pizza is the best.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Vegas, we have some New Yorkers that moved out here, so we have some New York pizza. So like it's like night and day, like the pizza. I mean, that's the one thing I miss. And then the Chinese food on the East Coast is better too.
It's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got good food here.
Yeah, I would be fat if I lived there.
We got good food and delicious beer. Rochester is like unbelievable with our craft beer. It's super, super good.
Who's like the biggest employer in the Rochester area?
Well, you remember like back in the day, it was the Kodak, the Xeroxes, the Bausch and Lombs now those are all gone basically. So it's just broken up into a lot of little companies. So Rochester really had to, refine its identity. I think a lot of it's through now like our colleges, like so the U of R, Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT, and our hospitals are a big, big employer. And yeah, in regards to like a business, man, I don't even know, to be honest with you. It's definitely the colleges and the hospital. And then after that, it might be like Genesee Brew Company. Who
Are you
knows?
are you guys do you guys just do market rent, or do you ever do any assisted like Section 8 or any voucher assistant housing rental programs for your
Yeah,
tenants?
yeah. Great question. Very heavy Section 8. We're a big fan of it. I know for a fact we're going to get it. And it keeps us on our toes where we have to make sure that every 2 years things are, inspected the right way. And I know the people that have it, these are all great people. They just, they're going to fight to keep it. So I know they're not going to be ones just to let it go. I mean, obviously, you said you're investing in Indiana, or Indianapolis, I should say. That's probably a heavier kind of low income kind of area. I don't know if it is or not, but I know it's
No,
kind
well,
of like
actually,
Rochester.
I'm in South Bend, actually, South Bend, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody else is in Indianapolis. I chose South Bend
Got
because
it. Smart.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, no, I'm thinking about I don't own any affordable housing, but I'm thinking about like that makes sense to me to because in like Pennsylvania, for example, you can find pretty cheap housing stock. And so if you could do like find something that's in decent shape, do a kind of a light rehab and have a bigger bedroom count, it seems to be like those start to make more sense from a because you get paid, based on bedroom count and so forth, depending on the township or
Interesting.
yeah. So that's appealing to me. So I kind of this year I want to do that, at least learn it a little bit, right? Because everything's an educational curve, like inspectors and what you need to expect. But I think long term, I think that's a great strategy because you're getting ACH'd into your bank account every month, first of the month, and you're right. There's what my thought process is that there's going to be like 10x amount of people if they know if you're taking Section 8 or voucher assistance, right? And then you could screen the best of the best candidate, and then they want to stay, so they're probably going to be a tenant for a longer period of time than the average tenant. Does
I
that make
agree.
yeah?
Yeah, no, I'm 100%. I really agree. And again, that is, I would say 70% of our units are, I would say Section 8, and they're really good. I really believe that it helped us through when COVID happened. I mean, it kept us going. So if we didn't have that, geez, it would have been tough because a lot of people that were paying through cash, here in Rochester, it hit hard. It hit hard. So yeah, we were very lucky to have that partnership with Section 8. And like I said, they're going to keep you on your toes. They're going to make sure that you're doing, that the property is in stable condition, and that, you know, sometimes that can be difficult when you have 100 something units. You're not sure which ones are going to need help at any certain time. So every 2 years, they're going in and making sure that. But then again, at the same time, Bo, you know, it can be a little bit more contact with in regards to like it's sometimes it is more like there's definitely some more work that needs to be done, and the turnover. I think they do stay, but again, every 2 years they're going to come in, and there is always something that's going to be needing repair, right? So that can hurt your cash flow.
Are you vertically integrated? Do you know what that means? Vertically integrated. I don't know if New Yorkers use that word. With your property management company, you have your own property management company.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
just like
manage our
saying
own
that.
properties.
Yeah, everybody, all these multifamily people always say vertically integrated.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Sure,
so,
sure.
so it's fun. I kind of find it funny, but I like that it's a buzzword. So you have your own property management company. Are you managing for others or just your portfolio?
Just our portfolio. Yeah, that's a tough business, man. That is a
Yeah.
tough business.
And so you have your own crews now for rehabs and so forth, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. And then what's kind of the goal? How do you like for 2022, what's the goals and how are you transitioning with such low inventory and deals not being as existing as they were, a few years ago?
We have deals. That's we don't have that problem. We're constantly evaluating deals. We're constantly getting stuff across our desk. We're wholesaling a lot of our stuff right now. We're flipping the good stuff. We're wholesaling the stuff that doesn't quite fit, and we're buying the stuff that we want to keep. Typically, the way we buy now, we're just a little bit. We've just had it good as we like seller finance. So if it's seller finance deal, we'll take it down. If not, then we don't really want to mess with it right now because we're kind of getting sick of tenants. To be honest with you, man, it's been a lot of work. The property management, and we made a mistake. We probably should never have brought that in at all. We probably should have, looking back, hired third party management right away. If that's something I would have done differently. But we learned a lot, and we learned that I'd rather transfer over to buying something larger and hiring a manager. And that's why that mobile home park division is something we restarted so that we can just manage the manager and try to keep it a little bit more where we're not hands-on in management because that's just not our specialty. That's not where we're not amped up there. We're amped up on the phones and getting another deal. That's where we shine. That's our specialty. So anything else, not that management is not critically important because it is, but really, that's a $15-20 an hour job, and that's just not what we need to be spending our time in when we really are, in our heads, and we believe it, $500 to $1,000 an hour guys. So that's kind of where we need to be, and I think that's going to be the next stage, the next move for us.
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, this is Beau Eckstein, host of the Investor Financing Podcast. I appreciate you checking out our channel. On this podcast, we talk about real estate, investing, financing, business lending, and acquiring and expanding your business. I'm sure you will find some videos here that will help you build your business empire. There's a lot to see. Take your time and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks again. Yeah, that's awesome. I think you're exactly right. I mean, you gotta, why deal with a headache? You don't have to. And like, that's the key. It's like anything in your life that's a headache. In the beginning, you're like, well, it's not going to be a headache. And then you're like, oh, well, it really is a headache. And we don't like this. And now we can choose what we want to buy next. And then the challenge then becomes well, actually, it's probably, you could liquidate some too and 1031 exchange out, or you could refi and keep them. And then just say, hey, we're okay with this amount of doors. Now we're just going to go. So on like this, like a bigger mobile home park deal like this, is this something you're going to try to get seller financing? You're going to take down with, do you have private investors where you get like a hard money loan and then you have gap funding and they come in and they help you take down the project?
Exactly. Yeah. I think they call that the capital stack, Beau. Is that what they say?
You got it. You got it.
And yeah, exactly. So, everything, in my opinion, is a team sport, and especially when you get bigger stuff, multifamily. So we teamed up with guys who want to manage and who want to be the operation. So we teamed up with two guys. So Matt, my partner, we're together on everything that we do, all the flips, all the wholesales, all the rentals, right? And they didn't have a acquisitions arm. They just were missing out on a lot of deals. So they brought us in. There's a lawyer, one partner is a lawyer, one partner is the operations, and it has just everything is super clean, unlike our stuff, which is a little nutty sometimes with our management style. And we're just, we're the guys on the phones hammering the pavement with our sales and marketing team. And yes, when we take down a deal, We are absolutely selling the seller on seller financing and why they should seller finance with us. And it's funny, Beau. I get this question. They're like, "How do I find a seller finance deal?" They always say that. How do I get a seller to do a seller finance? You ask, and you'd be so surprised how many people are willing to do it. But you have to tell them why you. And like I say this, Beau. I say this when I'm talking to somebody. I go, "Beau, you're a seller." I go, "Mr. Beau, here's the deal. I do this all the time. This is how I'm going to buy your property. And we're going to do it seller financing. And it's because you're going to save a ton of money on your taxes and you're going to make more money long term." And it's just like you tell people how it's going to go, and they don't want to think about it. They go, "Yeah, that sounds good. That's how I want to do it." They probably bought that way, especially with mobile home parks. So everyone's familiar with it, but it's just so funny. People go, "How do I find a seller finance deal?" You ask. You tell them that's how you're going to buy it. So,
I love that. That's so
yeah.
good. Now, when you have 6 virtual assistants, team members, and they're making calls, are you hiring in the Philippines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I have 3 VAs in the Philippines that they don't call for me right now, but that was always a goal of mine as I started. I'm trying to get away from the lending business, but I'm good at what I do. So, people call me and it's like, oh, and then I end up spending all my time helping people finance the properties. That doesn't give me enough time to buy properties. So how would you, knowing what you know now, and this is a great for the people that are watching this, how would you build out like your first dialer or your caller? You want to hire somebody. So obviously you're gonna interview them. What systems do you put in place? Like, how do you coach them to be good callers?
Well, first thing, you better be calling yourself. The people that don't do it and then expect their cold caller to be good, you're out of your mind. Just hang up the phone. You got no shot. You need to be able and willing to use you yourself to have done at least 300 dials. Okay. You need to make 300 dials. And I'm not just saying a dial and then you stop. 300 calls where you've talked to somebody. And good. If you get hung up on, fine. That's great. But the fact is, you need to be able to do that so that when you do hire, you know what they have to do. See, no one has empathy for the VAs. They hire him and then they let him go. Absolutely not. It's the most important job is that first initial phone call because that's the first initial handshake to you and your company. So you need to let your VA know, hey, and I always tell this guys, I'm going to do it too. I've been doing it and I'm going to continue doing it. I know how hard your job is. And if people don't have that empathy with their VAs, it's not going to work. You might as well just try to hire like Call Geeks does something where it's completely third party. They manage your VA and everything. That's actually a really solid route for people that are not willing to do this. But if you want to have a team where it's your team, then yeah, you need to be familiar with doing the dials yourself so that you can then have empathy for them when they're not getting a lead every single day because it's not going to happen. So yeah, I think number 1 is you should know how to sell. You should be familiar with this. You should understand like your scripts and you should be working with these people. You should be working with VAs on a daily basis and having meetings with them and listening to them and be willing to go on the recording with them and critique it in an empathetic way and say, what can we do to do better? What do you think you did wrong? What do you think you did right? So there's a lot of work with that. It's not just a set it and forget it thing, which a lot of people think it is, which a lot of gurus kind of present. Hey, hire your VA and it's going to be smooth sailing. Absolutely not. It's a huge responsibility. And it's something that you should be doing or have done yourself before you hire.
What do your KPIs look like for a seasoned, trained virtual assistant, aka team member? Once they've been trained, how many calls does it take for them to get a lead, and how many leads does it take to get a deal?
That's a great question. I'm going to pull up my end of day report from yesterday, so in a given day of an 8-hour shift, our lead caller does about 227 dials. And in that time, she's also, because with call tools, if they don't pick up, you can shoot them a text message as well. So now there's also about 31 text messages that were sent. Okay, great. Out of that, 227 phone calls, there's 48 conversations. And a conversation in our company is something that's over a minute and a half. Okay, so after a minute and a half, I count that as a conversation. And from that total yesterday, we had 3 leads that came in.
And do you have them fill out like a lead sheet where you're getting some info on the property? They're like, okay.
Yep. So they'll go through that. I don't want them to ask a ton because that's my job is we don't have like a lot of people try to hire what's called an acquisitions manager. And that's probably one of the toughest positions to hire for in, I think, any company, because you're basically hiring someone that's really going to try to close deals for you. And I guess I should actually say that's hardest for us to hire. It's not hardest for other people, but it's hardest for us because of our background and because we are salespeople. It's tough for us to kind of let that part go, but it's also a part where it gives us the most joy. that's part of what we love to do. So yes, that's a big part is the minute and a half and pass it to us and we'll take it from there.
So out of 227 dials, and granted they're on a speed dialer or a dialer, and so then out of that there's usually 48 conversations is the goal. And the conversation would be over a minute and a half talking time. Out of those 48 conversations, there was 3 leads provided. So from the 3 leads, if we look at like how many leads do you think it takes to get a deal that's either wholesaled or acquired by your
probably about 15.
Okay, probably about 15.
Yeah, 10 to 15.
So each week you get you could buy 1 or 2 deals from your callers.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's our nut we got to hit.
And then there's the motivated pay-per-click type of deal that comes in, the organic deal that comes in, maybe some postcards thrown in there, maybe a wholesaler you buy from a wholesaler. But right now you're more on the dispo side, unless it's a seller finance deal, if I heard you correctly.
Correct. Yeah, unless it's a seller finance deal, and because we're really just spending a lot of our time and money on the mobile home park stuff. So that's where we're actually actively buying. And of course our flip division too, which we do about 15, 20 flips a year.
You have a great business model. I love it. I love watching how you're evolving. Now tell me about, we were talking, you're going to start a podcast, and is that going to be on YouTube too? And then is there going to be audio and video, or? I think it should be audio.
We have one. I mean, we're getting it's insane the amount of traffic. I think we're getting about 3 views every month or 3 views every quarter.
I watched it.
So that's one of them a part of. It's the real estate power play. A lot of good information there. And, it's something we're excited about. It's something that's growing, but I'm starting my own just personal podcast. It's the Marty Grizzanti Show. And it's just talking to business owners, high performers, CEOs, athletes, and just trying to dig out how this person became who they are and what the lessons they learned to get there and what they're continuing to learn. And it's a fact-finding mission. The difference is it's for me. And for anybody else listening, great. If you get something from it, that's fine. But this is mine. This is for my own personal use. I'm just happening to broadcast it because at the end of the day, what a great thing if my kids, if I have them, if they watch this and they think, A, Dad's out of his mind, he's funny, this is fun, or B, they might learn something from it. And either way, it'll be so fine for me. So yeah, it's a complete journey for me just to put it out there and I don't want any regrets, Beau. I don't want any regrets.
Yeah,
so
that's
putting it out there.
How old are you, by the way?
32.
Okay, 32. Okay. All right, 32 years. So you can never tell. I was like, I knew you were I thought I was going to say you're somewhere between 28 to 33. So I was.
You're right there.
Yeah. And let me guess. You were born in November.
April. I'm a Taurus.
Oh, okay. I was off. I'm usually good at that, but sometimes, I don't get it, but that's awesome. Yeah. What I could say about I love doing the interviews now. And
you're doing very well. You're very good at this. This is hard, by the way.
I've done it over 350 times now. or actually more than
Damn.
that, because I used to run a live meetup group too. So I've been doing this for a long time. I actually was on live television too. I never
Come
told you that.
on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You Google me, you'll see. It wasn't anything dirty or anything either. I was on
That's
like
too, that's too bad.
I was on a house flipping TV show on a national network.
Let's go.
In 2013, it was called Flip It to Win It. I was never a big
Wow.
flipper. They just liked my TV personality.
Yeah.
But I learned how fake TV really is. No, just kidding. TV, it's fun. It's good exposure. And I don't know. It was a good experience, a good 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, why not?
Now that I was on it once, now you want to be back on TV. You're like, it was kind of fun. But it was like, I could never get my lines right. But but yeah, I love doing the podcast or the show, whatever you want to call it. And you get to interview really cool people. And whoever's out there listening, if it's even if nobody ever listens to your podcast, it's fun because you get to interview these really smart people. And it's like, see, I didn't go to college, so this is my, I went to real estate school. So I'm a California real estate broker. I used to own a small real estate franchise before. So I've grown up. I have a master's degree in real estate, but I never really went to the school route. So been in real estate and lending for 23 years, and made a lot of mistakes. And it's good to pick people's brains, like how they're doing it. And really, when it all comes down to it, it's the action takers that actually get the deals and find the deals and whatever, it makes the most sense. And then a lot of people, like your story, is very common. And then you're like, wait a second, there's a better way. We're crushing it right now, but we're getting all these tenant problems. It's a pain in the butt. Why don't we just go buy an 88 pad mobile home park? And we could own one of those and have as much cash flow as our other 30, 40 rentals, right? Like, it's like,
well, let me tell you something. Cash flow is a myth when it comes to these single family properties that we have. It's a myth.
Yeah.
I think it's a myth. I think low income properties with that say-day cash flow on paper where you're going to get the 2% rule, it's a myth. It's a lie. I wish I listened to that a little earlier, but it definitely got us to where we are now, which I'm very proud of and very happy and I'm very grateful for. So I wouldn't change anything, but I think cash flow in the low income is a little bit of a myth, especially with the stock that we have in Rochester. I mean, everything is 1900 or older in the city. I think like a new build, in our opinion, is like 1970 if it's in the Rochester area. So that's insane for people. Like, people won't even touch stuff unless it's like, 2000 or newer in markets like Phoenix and other places. So it's just completely different, but it's just something for people to think about when they look at that kind of thing. Because I really do believe it's very, very tough, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I buy 1900 stock, and luckily, the market's appreciated everywhere. It's really the saving grace. Like,
right, exactly. That is the saving grace.
And here's the real. I think the real secret is if you buy cheap enough, you're going to make money no matter what. Right. And like, that's at the end of the day, you got to buy right. Unless you're doing some kind of like higher end Airbnb play where you can actually get super good cash flow on single family or like quads or something like that. But you're really not going to get a ton of cash flow unless you're doing like a different play. But the key then becomes finding stuff that's like super undervalued, that the rent's like grossly, the price to rent's really gross, and then just factor in like if you have a good roof and mechanicals, you'll do okay, but you're never going to cash flow what you're projecting. Like, I use this this online tool, and it's like, this duplex I just bought, it's going to make me $850 a month net. What will I actually make? Then you wait to the end of the year, like, it didn't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you're like,
but you're right. You're right. It's how you buy it. You buy it right. And by the way, be in the hottest market that's ever occurred in the history of the United States, and it should work out for you.
There you go. I know. we can't do wrong. Well,
exactly.
Marty, this has been awesome. I got to have you on we do a live show. I do a live show with this guy named Vinny Chopra. He's a big multifamily guy.
Yes.
If you ever heard of him.
Yeah. He's a G. Hell yeah. He's the man.
He's funny too. He's a fun guy. Anyways, I gotta get you on the Vinny and Beau show. We do it on Fridays.
Awesome.
One of these times. And then, because it would be good. We always talk to kind of, we don't have that many flippers that have come on, and now that you do mobile home parks, and you're actually like a guy that is like in the trenches with the sales part, which is like the toughest part, right? The sales part is the hardest part. If you
That's
get
Smiley, right? Isn't Vinny Chopper Smiley?
yeah, we do the Vinny and Beau show every Friday.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to, if I could add any value,
Oh
anytime.
yeah. It's funny. I was in this mastermind group, and this young kid from Jacksonville. This is just a different story, but he like, I saw him when he like just got into real estate, and then I just saw he did like 300 deals, him and his partner, wholesale deals, like last year in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm like, I literally knew him when he was 21. In like 3 years, he built this like multi-million-dollar company. And I'm like, it's like anybody can do it, but he got really good at finding deals, right? And then, you got multiple strategies. Then you can assign the contract. You can, potentially you can owner finance. You can buy subject to the existing mortgage. You can, I'm just trying to think of all these strategies that we can do. I mean, even if it's a potential property that there's no equity in, you can buy it on terms, and maybe it's a good Airbnb property. I mean, people out there, when it comes down to it, it's really, if you want it, you just got to pick up the phone. That was my big nugget here. It's like, you guys are like, hey, they're competitive athletes. They took that into the real estate game with them. It's all because of the mindset. It's like, I just heard it. You're like making calls and you're doing what you need to do to get deals. And like, most people won't do that. And that's why how many people want to be in real estate that never do it? Because they're afraid to get the deal. You got to make phone calls.
And that's our FU chip, because sales will save us every time. That's our motto. Hey, listen, I know we're not doing that great on collections this month, but guess what? Sales is going to save us, and it always does. And so if we double down on what we're good at, then, and we, again, and for people that are listening that are not good at sales, we'll team up with someone that is, maybe if you're really good at operations, find somebody like me who wasn't good in operations and say, hey, I'll manage everything. I'll do all the analytics. I'll analyze the deals for you. I'll do the books, just get on the horn and start making, magic happen. But I will say that there's a lot more people like that, and not so many people that are willing to do the sales side. So you can look really smart being good at finding deals, even if you're not really smart.
Yeah, no, you're motivating me. See, here's going back to having your own show. It's like, okay, now it's like, God, okay, I'm good on the phone. I'm not holding myself accountable with dials. And like, if I just make certain calls, because I got really good at marketing, so I'm good at inbound. Like, people see my podcast and they're like, oh, I need a loan. I'm going to call Beau. And so I could just sit back, and every day people book a call on my calendar link, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can help you finance that. Because I can figure out deals like pretty easily. How to, that's what I do for like 20 years. Like, okay, let's finance it this way. But I could be like, if I was more aggressive in finding deals, I could be making calls to guys like you. Hey, what are you doing? What are you working on? Oh, do you need anything funded? Not that I want to do more loans, but same principle for buying properties. When I started buying in Pennsylvania, you know what I did? I'm going old school. And I just picked up the phone, and I'd see a property that looked interesting, even on the MLS, and like, because I started buying in these like secondary markets that had a shortage of housing, and I would just meet brokers, that had listings. And, if you become friends with the good brokers and they have the listing and they double end it, they'll help you negotiate the price a little bit. I mean, they have a kind of a fiduciary duty, but, they want to get the deal done. And so, she was very receptive and just, we negotiated the price down, negotiated a repair request. So I'm buying a deal right off the MLS that I feel is decent. And it was just giving good phone.
Giving good phone is the best, man. That's such a great thing to say. I love it. But the funny thing is, Beau, people say, yeah, you connect with brokers, but they don't do it. They still don't do it. It's still something you have to do. And people and I get it. I get it, because I see people who just go, I don't know what to do. I pick up the phone, and then what? What do I say? It's like, it's a mental block for people, but it's a mental block for me too. I don't wake up going like I'm amped up to make the phone call. But if you just do the first phone call, the rest are easier. It's not something that I'm just born to do, but I'm able to do it because I just know that other people are not. And that's what gets me amped up, is I'm on the phone and I'll call my partner and like, no one else is doing this. That's what we'll say to each other. No one else is doing this, buddy. No one else is doing this. And that gets him amped up, and that gets me amped up. And then it's just, hey, no one else is doing this on a Friday. No one else is calling mobile home parks on a Friday. Everyone's out right now. No one's doing this. And if you kind of keep that idea and you keep that in your head that, hey, no one else is doing this, it's just you, even if there's other people doing it, okay, that's fine. But in your head, if that's what you believe, it's just all you need to get that momentum. And that's the key to this thing is momentum.
I love it. I love it. And David Goggins' book, he was the guy in the Navy SEAL. He wrote,
I love David Goggins, of course.
You can't hurt me. And so like every time I'm at the gym now, I'm like, if I'm doing push-ups or something, it's like, he always says, when you think you're done, you have 40% left in your tank. And I'm like, I do. I'm tired, but I can do like another 6 or 7.
Bo, that's so funny because I say the same thing. I just say what the other thing he said in one of his videos when he was with Cam Haines, like this insane marathon runner. He's like, they don't know me, son. They don't know me, son. And that's what I say. I'm like, they don't know me. They don't know me. I'm a big fan of David Goggins. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So essentially what I'm hearing us saying is like, you need to psych yourself up sometimes to do this stuff. But like, I had some friends that are pretty successful, and they were just on Necker Island. That's like the island that Richard Branson, the guy that owns Virgin, he owns this private island. And like, if you want to go to that island, it costs you like 75 grand. And some of the guys I know are there. I'm like, those guys, you know, that's me. I can just go put 75 grand down for a weekend, right? But it's in here, right? It's like the same shit. So yeah, I love David Goggins, and like I think we all need that. We all need that mentality, because a lot of people have that kind of beat down mentality, and you just gotta you gotta be a fighter, and like if you're a fighter, and like you're gonna get your ass handed to you, but like what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like,
right? Who cares? So what?
Yeah.
So what? You get hung up on. Who cares? You didn't die. People think it's going to be so painful, and it's not. You got to take a no. It's good to take no's, because then you get that much closer to the yes, and that's the difference maker. Are you willing to take the no so that you can get the yes?
Yeah, I see a calling marketing program in your future. Not like you're going to be a guru guy, but you'd be a great coach. Like you should be a call. Fucking get excuse my French. Get people motivated. You know,
I enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things to do. It really is. It gets me amped up. I love getting people going because it gets me going, and I truly believe it. I know it. I've seen it. I've got people to another level. I've gotten myself to another level. My partner's gotten me to another level, and it's just if we can kind of get that going where it's just people getting amped up. It's just an energy, and it the difference, though, is when people stop it, and we could keep going, Bo, and I know you got to run, but it's funny, but there's like, you get momentum, right? Or you get motivated. The big difference for a lot of people is when you get motivated, and then usually what happens after like a seminar or whatever, you lose it. The key, though, is if you can be disciplined, and the discipline is going back to the well and getting back motivated, because it is a daily thing. And sometimes it could be an hourly thing. But if you're willing to go back and be like, I got my goals right in front of me and I know them, but I still go there and read them right off the board. I still have this right in my whiteboard. It says, Grizzanti is not a normal last name. The world will remember my last name for great reasons. So, you know, that's something I'm always looking at. So whatever you got to do to kind of get back to the well, to bring it back up, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because I have those ups and downs. Like some days I'm top of the world, and like one day I'll wake up and I'm just pissed off and I'm mad. Even after the gym, I'm still pissed off because I go to the gym every morning. Then it's like, okay, but you have to like trigger yourself to have that mindset. So when you start your day and you're like, all right, let's go do it, you know, and eventually I was just having this conversation with my buddy Eric, the wrestler and the fighter guy. And I said, eventually the place to be in real estate investing isn't doing the deals. It's like you have money and you deploy it into operators. Like you find the Beaus of the world, you know, the Martys of the world, and you're going, hey, you're flipping properties. Let's do JVs and I'll front the money. I mean,
absolutely.
You want to be like, the ultimate goal is I'm on the beach and I'm like evaluating deals. I'll invest in that. And that's where you like the end goal of like all this hard work is going to lead to like, I'm still going to be working hard, but it's a different kind of hard work. It's like, I'm not like grinding as much. Not that I love the grind sometimes, but I think like, where's the end of this going to be? Because I got to start thinking about 44 years old, 10 years from now, I want to be like that guy that's like, okay, I'm putting in your deal, I'm putting in your deal, and not so much like having to go out there and make the calls and stuff, but you have to do that work to get to that point.
100%. And let me tell you something, that when you said that, I get pissed off after the gym. Good. I think you should. That means you care. I still get pissed off. Me and Matt, my partner, we always say, I'm fucking pissed today. I'm pissed. And I go, let's get on the phone. Let's take it out. Let's call some people. I really, I think some people, my problem, Beau, is a lot of people are a little too whimsical about their day. Like, you walk around and they're just kind of like hoping something's going to come across their desk. Like, I talked to my real estate friends and the people in my group, the Upstate New York Real Estate Investors Group on Facebook. If anybody's interested, if anyone's looking to invest in New York, I'm one of the creators of the group. But long story short, people are just whimsical about their day. They're hoping a deal's going to show up on their desk. That doesn't happen. So yeah, you should be pissed. You need to be pissed. Get pissed off, and now get on the phone.
Yes, I'm pissed. I'm getting on the phone now. This is a freaking awesome interview.
Good times, buddy.
I'm gonna have the VAs. Hey, Nell, when you listen to this, you might have to bleep out some of the FUs just because I just want this to go on YouTube and like not get taken down. But other than that, it's like fun interview. Love to have you. I'd love to be on your.
Absolutely.
I do have partial cauliflower ear right there.
Yes, then you fit right in.
Okay,
you're on.
I could probably qualify for the show.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
Anyways, everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you got a lot of value out of this show. I mean, when it comes down to it, if you want deals, they're all around you, even in a competitive marketplace. Dialing for dollars. Marty just got a deal texting. Got an 88 unit homework on the deal. That could cash flow him enough to probably cover most of his bills right there. So anyways, guys, stay at it. And I hope you're enjoying these episodes that I'm bringing. I'm bringing all different guests from all walks of life. New York, we got East Coast, West Coast, we got, India, we got Vinny Chopra in India. We got everybody covered and everybody's crushing it, but they all have the right mindset to do it. So hopefully you got a lot out of that. And thanks, Marty, for the time today.
Appreciate it, brother.